installment of the WandaVision podcast taught for BBOE group. Today I have with me the usual crew, Terrell and John. WandaVision episode 5, I believe, just came out on Friday, and it was insane. One of the best things I've seen in my whole life. I loved it. And we have a little panel to talk about it, and it's going to be spoilers, so just so you know. And, yeah, whoever wants to start, take the floor.
I'll start. I'll start by saying that this is easily, I think, the most impressive, intense, and exciting episode of the show so far, for me at least. Right from the get-go, with really all sorts of things. Kids aging themselves up. You have I don't want to just like jump to the crazy things to talk about, but there's so many crazy things to talk about with this episode.
Definitely.
Like, I almost can't not talk about it. But I guess I'll just say that I absolutely loved this episode. But yeah, what do you guys think?
I think that this episode is the start of something bigger in the MCU. Like, it's definitely like the starting point. Everything that we've had up till now as Marvel Studios is going to be changed forever. Like, it's going to be like talking about pre-WandaVision stuff and post-WandaVision stuff, starting with this episode, which because of the ending. But this is probably my favorite one of the whole entire series so far.
And it's only going to get better, I think. I think so, too. Just last time we met last week, we were like, man, this episode is great. Now we're like, have you seen this one? This one's better.
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah, I think this episode was fantastic. Shout outs to my man Vision with a Chad smile in the intro. That smile is so perfect. Paul Bettany has such a good smile. I love it. He's such a dad in this episode. With the shirt and the jeans and the belt. Oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
He definitely embodies the vision.
Yeah, and that whole era of like super family oriented sitcoms, the 80s, you have Full House, and I liked how the aesthetic really embodied that, and then also the costume design in this episode was awesome. Like, Vision has never looked more like a dad, except for when he wasn't a dad and he wore that cardigan. That was the only time. Or was he a dad at that point? He may not. I don't think he was.
Well, he used to wear the sweater vest and shirt combo back in the movies. That was a pretty good one.
Yeah. No, Vision is such a dad. I love it. And on that dad note, I actually kind of enjoyed the presence of the kids in this episode, because I was like, wow, like, what are they actually going to do with the kids? Like, what are the kids going to represent? And I think the kids in this episode really highlight Wanda's inability to like cope with reality. Everything from the fact that she can't control the kids, right? They age up on their own.
Right.
And then the lesson that she tries to teach them at the end, which I think we'll get to after talking about another irresponsible thing that Wanda did.
As usual.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the episode where you really like. When the first episode came out, I was like, oh, okay, Wanda's we're on the side of Wanda. We wanna see what's up with her. And then as the more the episodes go on, okay, and now at the point where it's like, are we on Vision's side? Like, are we also like on Team Vision now?
Yeah.
It's definitely interesting to see the narrative change. Just like before, we were introduced to our characters from last episode, which were Jimmy Woo, Darcy, and Monica. It's like we didn't know anybody else was even going to be in the show that early on, and now it's like, yeah, but what is Vision doing? How is Vision doing? I want more about Vision. Vision is one of my favorite superheroes of all time, but I'm definitely like, How is he processing this? And he's not doing it well. He is definitely catching on this episode.
He said himself that he doesn't remember anything before. Like, he doesn't remember being an Avenger. Like, the only thing he knows is Wanda and Westview. Like, those are the two things exclusively in his mind.
Yeah.
And that would scare anybody. And that's what we see is the episode is his realization that something is not right. And this is the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he progressively notices it more and more. Like, I thought he was going to be like, okay, scene with Norm, that was weird. Or scene with Agnes was weird. He's like, okay. But when it was like, nope, you're going to see this, you're going to see that. Vision, you're doing all this stuff today. There's a lot of weird stuff for you today, Vision.
There's a lot of weird stuff. I think that definitely one of the things where I realized, okay, Vision is clearly not under as much control as he seemed to be, was I'm sorry, not under the control of Wanda as much as she seemed to be, was when he started pointing out, oh, blah blah blah, we always seem to get into some sort of situation and then somebody shows up and has just what we need, and it's hilarious. It's very comedic to me, but it's also like very intriguing. And Agnes, it is a little bit creepy. And I actually loved Agnes this episode. I thought that she was funny with the whole showing up with dog thing. And she's just like, oh, look. Which, by the way, rest in peace to my boy Sparky. He did not deserve the unfortunate ending that he got. What Agnes, again, showing up, I think, twice this episode. With convenient things that they needed, and I thought that was hilarious. But it also kind of ties into, again, I think Marvel really nailed the aesthetic of this episode on the 80s with family ties specifically, and the neighborly relationships that you see in a lot of those 80s shows.
Yeah, shout out to the theme song. I liked the theme song. It was very it went on for way too long. But the opening slideshow of Vision as a growing up, I love that.
Oh my god, dude! Kid Vision was so
with his little teeth. Oh my god,
little adorable Vision.
The only thing I wish they would have done was start off his childhood pictures with like a picture of a floppy disk or something.
Hard drive.
That's the only. That's like a baby carriage with like a floppy disk inside of it.
With the Mind Stone. That would have to be hilarious.
Yeah, with the Mind Stone.
I have a Tony Stark cameo. He's just pushing him with a stroller.
Yeah,
it could happen.
But yeah, the opening a few minutes, we do see Agnes, and something's not working out with her. She's very weird. She notices things. The Vision notices things about her, and Wanda is like, "No, didn't happen. Shut up. You know nothing." And she's what does anyone remember what specifically she did or said? Like she wanted another take, but I didn't really remember what the
she
take
was
supposed
to hold. She was supposed to hold the babies, and she didn't hold the baby right away, so she wanted to take another take.
Yeah, and now once again breaking the fourth wall of the sitcom we have here going on, very creepy in a way. Like we said earlier, she's like, "Oh, hold on, I'll just do another take." Like, Vision's like, "What? You're gonna do that now?"
Yeah, and that very much just plays into the whole director role that Wanda's playing here, and that and that she's so unable to grieve with like what we saw in episode 4. Of course, Vision still being a completely totally lifeless corpse, and just wanting everybody to play along. And Agnes starting the episode off very strong with Agnes. And kind of breaking that fourth wall, and then realizing, okay, something's not right with the sitcom here, but we still don't even know 100% why at this point. But we do know that everybody is undoubtedly hexed by Wanda, and Vision is like, excuse me?
That was another thing I was curious about. How is he... I mean, you guys may know the answer, I don't know. How is he, like, like woke. Like
aware. That's what I was just about to say. We aren't even fully aware why Vision is able to notice these weird things going on, because in the past, completely, it's really been, Wanda will say something and Vision is just like, okay, cool, like let's go along with it.
just watch TV.
I think the only time where I kind of like question that a little bit was the first episode, but like I didn't even know what this episode, like what the show was going to be in the first episode. It was just like, okay, well, his boss is choking and Vision's just like sitting there, and typically in a sitcom you're like, oh no, they're like, let's go, and something funny happens, but
just went on for too long.
yeah, exactly, right. And so that was a very interesting moment to me.
I think it has to do with the Mind Stone in his head, because I think that Wanda actually created another Mind Stone, because he is able to use those powers within the reality, and she has reality warping powers. So I think that something with that Infinity Stone might have been able to give him sentient, like awareness.
But the question for me would be like, how effective is that Mind Stone? Because as we learn a little bit later, is that Wanda is essentially rewriting reality, and that this isn't even like an illusion, which is what's crazy, is that it's not an illusion. She's like truly rewriting reality. So it's like, is that another like true Mind Stone, or like I don't
question.
It's just power beyond it's power greater than we've ever seen. Like she's already more powerful than Thanos with the Gauntlet, basically. She can just do whatever almost. Like
Jimmy Woo said it himself.
Yeah, Bryce. We're talking about the WandaVision show on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Another thing I thought was really interesting here is the amount of references. I'd like to point out a really interesting reference that I think may play a role later. I don't know if it's an Easter egg. I don't know if it has anything to do with the show or not. But because I was talking about Agnes a little bit, before Agnes shows up the second time, and I wrote this down, Vision's reading a newspaper with the headline that says "Local Lawmakers Innovating Recipes," and then he folds the newspaper in a really interesting way, and the only thing visible in the shot on the newspaper are the letters HOM. You know what that is?
House of M.
House of M,
Mm-hmm.
which is I saw that and I was like, that can't be a mistake. Like that has to be on purpose. And I'm curious what that's going to lead to in the future, because Wanda's a true threat to reality at this point. And we really do see the effects of that when we cut back to everything else going on at the Swords Response headquarters right outside. Which I'd also like to note, Jimmy finally got Darcy her coffee.
Yep, that was.
I was just going to say that. Like she finally got her coffee. She deserves it, though. Honestly.
Oh yeah, she deserves it. She's I love Darcy. I really do.
Yeah, and Agnes, besides the whole set and take part, very weird this episode, and she's fine with seeing the kids morph. Basically, she's fine with all the stuff that happens. She's very out of character for Agnes. Like if you think about episode 1, she's like, gotta impress your husband. And then now she's like, I'm gonna just drink all the liquor.
She is.
It's not for me, it's for the kids.
Yeah. I'd also like to point out that Agnes's whole situation with the kids, I think, is super interesting because and this will play in a little bit later with what I'll bring up later is Agnes being so upset with saying, okay, we're just helping out the kids, is kind of in line with the theory that I brought up last week.
Say the word, Charles. Say the word.
No, not Mephisto. Actually, Agatha Harkness. So Agatha Harkness had all sorts of like crazy backstory with her own children, her grandkids who burned her at the stake, and then also um, things going on basically with the Fantastic Four. And I just thought it was really interesting that she's wanting to play such an active role in the kid's life. She's like always, she's there for this, she's there for that. They're
The milestones.
something that happens later, and then not even just milestones. Yeah, I mean, yeah, milestones, because you got that. And then you have the of course the thing we'll discuss later with Sparky, who's so cute bathing in the sink. But
R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P.
R.I.P. Sparky, R.I.P. Pop Smoke.
Yeah,
Get them all the way while we can.
Right.
So yeah, we do see her being a little out of character, and then the kid, once Vision catches on, he's like, "Hey, like, we good? We good?" And Wanda like, "Everything's fine. Everything's fine." It's just Bryce being Bryce in the chat. He said, "Rip Pop Smoke," you know, like.
Oh, he said rip Pop Smoke?
He said, "Why do you have anything?" I went down topic. But he said, "I miss Pop." RP Pop Smoke. But, yeah, Wanda's very just like, everything's fine. Everything's cool. Don't worry about it. And then the kids grow up to the age of 10.
So they can take care of a dog, and they do it on their own, which is what's really interesting to me, is that we see a little bit more, and like we see more and more every episode. There seems to be breaks in Wanda's self-created reality, where Monica starts lose it. Wanda's hex wears off on Monica. Episodes 3 and 4, and then we also see, of course, the kids aging up in this episode, and then
against her
Vision
will.
starting to notice. Yeah, against her own will, because as we see later that Wanda, the only person that should really be fully aware of anything going on, is Wanda. That's it.
Yeah.
Which is what's really interesting. And then the other really interesting thing, moving from after the kids age up and everything, is when Vision goes to work. And that's where we have what I think is probably like the most fucked up part of this episode. Vision's just doing his typical work, and then we see
computational forms.
computational
Same
forms,
job.
and we see it. Before this part of the episode, of course, we cut back to Sword, and we start to see that Sword is trying to communicate. They'd like to see. They're trying to communicate with Vision inside, and they get that crazy. I don't remember what the message says on the computer, but basically, that something's awry here, and then Vision takes it upon himself.
Yeah, it was Westview's in trouble or something like that.
Yeah. And he takes it upon himself to wake Norm up from this hex, and he loses his shit.
He asks for his phone. He wants to call his sister. Keep in mind, personal phones aren't really a thing at this time. There's obviously no cell phone. Norm is definitely from the present.
Yeah.
And
it was painful. Like, everything that was happening to was hurting him. That's the main takeaway that happened.
Yeah, it's like I think he said his life is being sucked out of him or something like that. But it's definitely taking a toll on his mind and body.
Yeah.
And then
out of pity, Vision just puts him back in, because that's the only thing you can do for him.
For now.
At that point.
I don't know if you guys know this, but in the last episode, when they have the what do you call it? When they have like they put all the pictures and stuff and start connecting the dots and all that. Whatever that's called.
The Pepe Sylvia, I gotcha.
Yeah. They actually have a note on Norm's file, which I saw on a YouTube video like a week ago, and it said, "Who doesn't want to pull it up and read it? It's actually pretty interesting." It says Norm was woken up by Vision, and then when he went back, when after Vision stopped messing with him or put him back to normal, he became normal again. He was he was playing a character again. I don't remember what the full thing said. We can pull it up later. It's cool if we read it. But it was basically like, that doesn't make sense because last episode, right, was last week was a different decade. So I don't know if maybe the present timeline that we're watching of the the Sword agents is not what we're seeing in real time. Because
there was some time lag. I remember in the previous episode, like when we first got introduced to the Sword, when they were recapping the series, it seemed to happen almost like back to back. So there was some lag between when Monica first went in there and then when she left. It seemed like almost instantaneously.
Yeah.
At least for me, there seems to be some kind of time dilution in there.
So I don't know what that was about. So when I first saw it last week, I was like, Vision didn't wake him up, and then this week he did. So I'm like, this was some trickery.
Yeah, well, it has to air. I feel like we're essentially watching like a rerun. Is almost kind of what I'm thinking. Because I was just seeing there's bloopers, there's edits, there's there's actual credits, which means that the show has to end at some point, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking, and I also have an interesting note about that too, right at the end. But yeah, no, there's definitely, I think, some sort of time lag here because the show has to air, and that's what we're seeing. They just like they're watching it on an old CCTV, like a square television, actually catching a live broadcast with actors and edits and all sorts of things.
It's also worth mentioning that when the email comes through to the office, everyone reads it out loud. Like they're all some sort of hive mind.
Oh,
did you catch that?
I caught that.
They were all like something Westview in trouble, and Vision's like.
It was almost like a demonic possession.
Yeah. Oh.
If Joe says this goddamn N-word one more time, I'm gonna scream.
I wonder if that's maybe some sort of like defense mechanism by Wanda.
Possibly.
I mean, there's no way. I mean, if everybody's hexed and people are becoming aware of these things, there's no way she doesn't know that.
It also could be the influence of the Mind Stone, because Vision was being so like overwhelmed at that moment that he projected his thoughts to everybody else. Because he also is kind of independent of Wanda's hex, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he is not human, and everyone else in Westview seems to be human,
minus the children. The children aren't, because that's the only people that don't have files on.
No, but they're human though, I would assume.
Could be.
I mean, they're not purple.
They could be, but we also one thing I thought was interesting was episode 2. What doesn't? I'm pretty sure that it's Wanda that says something about doing something for the children, and this is the episode where we get a lot more on the children, and Vision notices that there are no children.
Yeah. It's, I mean, obviously, but within a month we'll be like, oh, it's so stupid. It's so obvious. But like we said this last week, like we were still blown away by this week.
Yeah, honestly.
What was the next part after Vision's meeting, running with Norm?
I think that's when they first introduced the Sparky.
Yeah, I think so.
That's right. He comes home and then
No.
No. It was when the kids.
Oh, it's when Sparky goes missing.
No,
when
the kids...
Sparky rip. That's when Vision gets home from work. So before he goes to work is when Agnes comes in and they're washing the dog in the sink, and Agnes is like, "Hey, I happen to have the stuff for you, haha." And then that's when they're like, "Can we keep him?" and all that. And they age up and all that. Well, Wanda starts doing magic in front of Agnes. He starts creating a dog collar out of nowhere, and Agnes
Yeah.
is just cool with it.
Tired
Yeah.
of hiding anymore.
Yeah. So that whole scene happens. We introduce a Sparky. I don't remember who his original name was going to be, wasn't it? What was his original name? I don't know. But then he touches the outlet and he sparks. So he calls him Sparky. And then, so that's a short little scene, but still awkward for Agnes to just be chilling there. And Wanda's like, here's a collar.
Yeah.
And no one says anything. I also wanted to mention before we get too far in past this is that in the opening title sequence, you see the kids blow out all their candles at once for every single year they skipped. Because they just skipped all the years.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, we did the dot part, and then we get the sword intervention of Wanda's reality. If anyone wants to discuss that.
This is the part where Hayward has the meeting, right?
Yep, and they find out that everything is based on production design of Wanda's choice, and that stuff from modern day isn't changed all the way. It's just repurposed to fit her. Because it would have made sense to see Monica coming in with like a full Kevlar vest, all this stuff, like she's ready for war. It would have made sense, but she finds out my pants are Kevlar, my shirt's Kevlar. I wasn't wearing this outfit, but it got transformed.
Yeah, and that's also like John mentioned last week. I thought it was interesting was that we really do kind of see more of a sinister side from Hayward.
Yes.
After we see the clip of Wanda breaching a super high security military facility and robbing them of Vision's corpse. So,
and never mentioned it. He never brought it up to anybody until right this minute.
Yeah, exactly.
And they've been there for a few days.
She was a terrorist.
Say what? Oh yeah. Black Air Force One activity. Steals Vision's body, and we get the true confirmation at this point that Vision is indeed dead. And then Hayward refers to her as a terrorist,
and her name has never actually been Scarlet Witch this whole time.
Yes, yeah,
that blew my mind because it's always been listed in the credits as Scarlet Witch, but they've never said it.
I already have a pop figure, Scarlet Witch. Everyone's known her as the Scarlet Witch, and now she's she's Wanda Maximoff for now. She's not no Scarlet Witch.
And I think that at this point, in the eyes of basically people who are basically the people of the universe, Wanda hasn't done anything incredibly noteworthy to them. She is an Avenger. She is powerful. Don't forget,
she had the problem in Lagos, which is directly related to in this week's advertisement, when she destroyed the building and killed all those Wakandan relief workers and innocent people trying to fight Crossbones. So she is known. That's why the
she's known.
She's known,
but she doesn't have a moniker, right? Like a moniker is something that's given to you after you've done something that's noteworthy of any kind, whether it's notoriety or infamy, right? It's just it's something that has to be earned. And so I think at this point, Wanda's done stuff for sure, but even people in Sword have their doubts, having the conversation about blah blah blah, and so and so, like the Thanos conversation, and then Jimmy Woo said I'm pretty sure it was Jimmy Woo.
Yeah, he's like Captain Marvel could have done it.
Yeah, Captain Marvel and Wanda almost 1v1 Thanos, right? And so there's a couple people who are aware of just how incredibly powerful she is, but Captain Marvel has a moniker. right? Like Captain Carol Danvers is not Carol Danvers in the public. She's Captain Marvel. Like Wanda
That's her
Maximoff.
superhero name, yeah.
Yeah, Wanda Maximoff is just Wanda Maximoff, right? Like
Which
like she's not a household
crazy.
name. Yeah, like Captain America, Iron Man, all of these other Avengers are like household names, and I'm pretty sure Wanda and the whole Avengers lineup is the only one who's referred to as her name. Nobody else is. Nobody. Bruce Banner is still Hulk.
I don't think they call Hawkeye Hawkeye. I think they always call him Clint. I don't think they ever mentioned him Hawkeye.
But he has a moniker. Like he's actually been labeled as something, right? Like so like all of the Avengers are called, all of the Avengers call each other. A lot of them will call each other like by their first name, but like the public would know Hawkeye as Hawkeye. Like they don't know Clint.
And Wanda's always been kind of the outcast Avenger.
She
was on the B team, but she has like 18 powers. Like she's
exactly.
But
she's. I mean, essentially, if you want to like break it down, like this almost canonically puts Scarlet Witch at like a city buster level, like. Right. And so I just think that by the end of this series, she's going to have some sort of event noteworthy enough where Sword, Shield, Pokemon Sword and Shield, they're gonna label her as Scarlet Witch by the end of the series. I'm sure they will.
Yeah, I mean, I on that point of like power levels, just little side note, I think the three most powerful people on the Avengers side are Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, and Captain Marvel.
Yep, I agree with that.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
And we mentioned this last week, but we do know that Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange have a movie coming out, and so that's gonna be crazy to see. Like we've seen the Avengers, but have we seen two powerful like spellcasters in the same movie doing stuff? No, we haven't.
And we don't know who the villains are. Who knows that maybe Wanda will be the villain of that movie?
Possibly.
Right. My only sad face about that is that Thor is nowhere near as strong as he should be. That's the only thing I'll say.
Well, we're gonna find out.
We have canon Room King Thor, basically.
We'll find out how his powers are varied in the future within this movie. But as of now, it's a pretty interesting trio of OP people. But that's besides the point. Back to where we were.
Wait, before we move on.
Yeah.
This is the part where I believe Darcy says she's going to contact an aerospace engineer.
Was it Darcy or Monica?
I think it's Darcy. It may be Monica. Let me see.
Darcy doesn't work with aerospace, does she?
Okay, yeah. Monica mentioned, yeah. So it's Monica. Monica says that she has a particular aerospace engineer in mind to call for help.
Reed Richards.
Thank you. Yeah,
that's what I thought. But I mean, honestly, the way this show is going, we have no idea like what any of this could be.
Anything could happen.
It could just be it could just be Buzz Aldrin. He's like, "What's up, guys? I'm in the show."
It could be Stan Lee.
I mean, look at so CMBR is as we know, leftover radiation from the Big Bang itself, and it's repurposed here for Marvel storytelling, but basically the Fantastic Four received their powers from essentially what is CMBR, like cosmic rays, like highly densified radiation. And then we also have something somebody pointed out was the ridiculous amount of sword color, Fantastic Four color themes and sword uniforms, all the blue, gray, white, black, and then the connection that Fantastic Four has to Agatha Harkness. I'll just point it. I'll just point it out there. They I feel like we are at the very least getting some pretty solid Easter eggs for the Fantastic Four here.
I mean, this is kind of similar to Iron Man 2, actually, when they used Captain America's shield just as a thing, just as a tool.
Yeah.
But it's like Captain America didn't come. I was going to say that Captain America didn't come out until like a year or two later. But they're like, hey, there's his shield, dummy. Like you should have known it was coming.
Yeah. I mean, even the thing is that even if like, I don't know. I don't believe that Fantastic Four will like make a debut here or anything.
Oh,
because
no.
This is really like Wanda, expansion story, like DLC for the MCU.
I just think they're setting the stage for the Fantastic Four. Like this
Exactly.
is like this is the prelude.
Yeah, they're gonna say, well, what's CMBR? Like, I'm sure we're gonna find out a lot more about that. We're gonna find out
in 2 years or 3 years in Fantastic Four to say Fantastic Four are announced. We just don't know when. But we are tied with movies for the next 2 years almost. I think Blade is the last one to come out in this slate, and then
I think we're backed up on movies technically.
Yeah, I saw the lineup earlier before we started this, and like Spider-Man 3 is like the next big player, I think, of continuing franchises, and that is like December. And we did talk about Spider-Man after, but I've read some stuff about it.
Yeah,
but
and then the other thing here is the introduction of Sword just becomes even more significant in that Sword is really focused on so Sword and Shield were both focused on Sword specifically. Shield was focused on terrestrial threats, and Sword was more focused on extraterrestrial threats. And Sword was basically working on a astronaut training program, and the astronauts that were heavily involved in that were in the original Fantastic Four: Reed Richards, Sue Storm,
Johnny
Ben Grimm, and Johnny Storm. Yeah.
Yep.
Which were the ones that were really focused on that. So I think, again, just more groundwork being laid in here to set up for when the Fantastic Four eventually makes their debut.
Well, we have been stuck on Fantastic Four for a little bit now, but let's get back to the actual plot point where they basically determine that you can send stuff into this reality, into this Westview, with as long as it fits the criteria of the time. If not, it will be changed to do so. That is the rules that we have given. So they send a super advanced drone, I will add. I'll just say camera off. The drone was very advanced for the 80s, but what do I know? I'm not 80s
high quality video 80s.
Right?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
wireless 80s? Definitely doesn't make sense.
But also it's not based on our universe.
Exactly.
So, we've seen was it Black Panther, the first in the opening of Black Panther, his dad had all this technology and stuff, and that was the 90s. So
yeah, but that's the whole point of Wakanda.
No, I know, I'm just saying there are advanced technologies that could be just for storytelling, in Iron Man 1, no, Captain America 1, the first Avenger, Howard Stark, he's doing some crazy stuff with the Cosmic Cube.
The Tesseract.
Yeah, the Tesseract. He's doing deep sea diving, picking it up and stuff. Okay, this man has technology. So it could have easily been a Stark convention. We can just say that.
Of course.
Yeah, that's the easy way to write it out.
Yeah,
right around it. But the drone flies in, finds Wanda and her kids, who we now know we have proof that they are actually really people. These are beings. They're not just imaginary. Just we see stuff from Wanda's perspective. The kids should have been an illusion. That's what I first thought. I was like, how are they aging so fast? How are they doing this? But we'll get into that later with who the kids really are in the comics. But it's like, okay, they have the drone. They see Wanda. Wanda sees the drone, and then it goes bad. It goes because Hayward, probably the biggest stick of the whole show, he's just not having it. He's like, "You're a terrorist. I'm going to shoot you."
And Monica was completely caught off guard by that because she didn't arm the drone. She didn't know that the drone was armed.
She didn't want
and
to.
It seemed
either.
like, yeah, she didn't want to because to her, Wanda is not a terrorist. She's somebody who's
in trouble.
an Avenger.
Still a victim.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, really, you have to figure that basically all of humanity was threatened by a galactic being that vanished half of not just humanity but all of the universe, and then and absolutely destroyed her husband boyfriend at the time twice. yeah, her lover at the time twice.
Twice within a minute.
Twice within sub 60 seconds, man. Vision's insanely powerful. So yeah, that was quite insane. And then the next thing we really see is that Wanda just strolls like an absolute badass out of her fucking her reality and tosses the drone at them and says, "Hey, bitches."
Like, what's
what
good?
are you doing? Yeah, exactly. She pulled up on their block.
For those who haven't seen the episode, that is actually what she said. That is a direct representation of what she said.
Yeah, she pulled up and she said, "What are you doing on my block? Get out of here."
I also find it interesting that she had her accent back as soon as she walked
She had
out.
her accent, her hair, and her costume. So she took no breaks. She literally went to the sword place, stole Vision, and was like, I'll just settle here.
Yeah.
Didn't even probably go to the bathroom. She's just like, I'll just do it here, man.
No time.
Just make it my place.
Gotta go.
I'm moving in.
And then of course Monica tries to plead with Wanda, letting her know that they're not enemies. She didn't know that the drone was armed. She wants to help Wanda, and Hayward threatens Wanda with, of course, the whole squadron there, all having their weapons pointed at her. And Wanda's completely unfazed. She knows how.
We wouldn't even do anything, honestly.
Yeah, she knows that they are completely outclassed just by her mere existence, which is, I love that scene because it really shows that Wanda is that bitch.
It was really intense too. It was super intense watching it for the first time.
It was intense when that was one of. There's a lot of unexpected things that happened in this episode, but that was probably my biggest highlight because I was like, Wanda's an entertaining character. We see, flashes of who she truly is here and there, but for the most part, like, we're getting Wanda, but we're not getting Scarlet Witch. And that was one of the parts where I was like, okay, like, we have Scarlet Witch in front.
I think that actually, I know we had big reveals towards the end, but that scene is probably my favorite in the whole entire episode. Just when the squad was like pointing the guns at her, and then she just waves her hand and just mind controls everybody and turns it back on them. That has to be like the best part of the whole entire episode.
Yeah, I mean, for me,
it's
that's
most satisfying.
That's my favorite part of the series so far. Like,
I really thought they were going to save that for like almost a finale. Nope, he just walks out there like,
It shows her hexing, like actually entrancing people. Like that's the Scarlet Witch, not just like telekinetic powers. It's controlling their minds.
Yeah, absolutely. and then turning all of the weapons onto Hayward. And I mean, she openly threatens them. She builds up telekinetic energy in her hand, and she shows like, okay, like, what does she say? She tells Monica that Monica asks her what do you want, and Wanda tells her, I have what I want, and that she just wants to be left alone.
Yeah,
Essentially,
this is her home now.
and
Yep.
yeah, it's her home, and she threatens them, basically saying like, don't come knocking on my door ever again.
No
And
solicitors.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's essentially like a declaration of war from an Avenger onto Sword, which is, I thought it was amazing. Wanda / Scarlet Witch is really showing she's that bitch in that scene.
And then she goes back in and she throws up her firewall. The whole entire wall turns red, so nobody can enter, probably.
Yeah, it seems a lot more. I mean, I don't want to ruin it, but I'll talk about it later. It seems like it's been now buffed even further.
Yeah.
Like, but which brings up my
Very
thought
easily.
is that like Monica does talk during this part to Wanda one-on-one, and she's like, "You let me in," like. Or was it, maybe it was earlier, but either way, Monica gets the point across that she was let in to this neighborhood. Wanda is either letting her guard down or is or asking for help. Or letting some stuff fly. Like, okay, she could have easily just destroyed all the drones. She could have just evaporated Monica, probably.
Yeah.
She didn't kill Monica when she already threw her through like four buildings, 4 walls, and then threw like into the air all the way onto the field. And Monica doesn't have any powers that we know of yet, if at all. I don't think she does. I think she's normal.
Not yet.
But like, she survived, and Monica's like, yeah, I didn't die. Like, I could have died, but she didn't kill me.
Yeah.
So it's kind of makes you think. Is Wanda a puppet? Is Wanda seeking help? Is she purposely sabotaging what she's doing? Like, for example, not killing Monica, not destroying the whole Sword facility within one blink of an eye almost. So she could have done that. We don't know what happened to the beekeeper. The beekeeper... he's probably still stuck there, but we don't know. We haven't seen him.
Yeah, as an ice cream.
As
an ice cream man.
I did follow up on that. People said it was 2 different actors.
Oh,
they just looked a lot alike.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, it's up to our imagination to determine: is he now an ice cream salesman? What is he?
I think he'd be happier as an ice cream salesman.
Oh, I mean,
his life would be more complete.
Yeah, it'd be a little bit more pleasurable.
It's like the guy winning the game of life and got the worst 2 cards there is.
I mean, dude, you gotta think, like, these people are in immense amounts of pain, and then his job is to be a beekeeper. Like, that sucks, dude. Like, at least if you're an ice cream man, I'd say you get to, like, make kids happy, but there are no kids.
That's
you get free ice cream.
What did tell you? There are no kids in Westview, except there are, but no normal kids.
Yeah.
But so she basically retreats back into Westview, makes it like impenetrable now, and
potentially.
Well, as far as we can see or think, she probably buffed up the shield, which I mean, I wouldn't go into some place with just like a 10% shield. I would do like 100, but we don't. There's probably a reason to it, and this is the point where it just skips, I believe, to Sparky dying. I don't think there's a scene afterwards, is there?
It's they
lost him first.
Yeah, he's missing.
I meant, is there? There's no like Wanda walking back in like, oh hey everybody, sorry I was late. It's just
I believe so. I believe that. I'm pretty sure that's what happens. Wanda comes back. She comes back. Basically, her kids are looking for Sparky, and at the same time, this is Vision isn't back yet, but we find out the Vision's on his way home. So not much time has passed at all, which I think may kind of play into your time thing a little bit. And then we see Agnes by her bushes, and she has...
Conveniently, Agnes of all people found Sparky.
Found the
Yeah.
dead Sparky. Rest in peace.
And conveniently had poisonous bushes apparently, in a simple neighborhood with that who still works on computational forums as a main source of income. they have they had deadly bushes just chilling there.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the bushes were. If you guys remember the type of bush, but I can't.
Azalea?
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yep.
Are those poisonous in nature?
The leaves are. Yes.
So she just happens to have a poisonous bush. Just like, come on, it's all too convenient for this for Agnes to just be there. That she's that person who shows up, and it's her reason, or it's her. It's not her fault, but it's because of her landscape is why the dog died. It's all too convenient for Agnes, I think. And
And then you see the kids being visibly upset about it. And then this is when you start to realize that she doesn't have any control of the kids, because she tells them, like, don't grow up. Because she knows what they were planning to do to cope with it.
As a mechanism, yeah. Which is why I think the kids are sentient beings. They're not kidding. They're not hostages in this. I think they came. Somehow they exist. We don't know how yet, but
somehow they exist.
They were manifested.
They are manifested.
But see, now we know Star Witch does not have that power. In real life, she cannot create stuff out of thin air. We know that. However,
she can.
Well, no, she's never done it outside of the show.
No, I said she can't.
Oh, sorry.
However, Mephisto's soul fragments.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Terrell with the Mephisto. It took 51 minutes, and he finally said the M word on cam. Let's cancel him.
His soul fragments, but I don't think they'd be that friendly,
well,
that soft.
You guys are familiar with Billy and Tommy in comics. I've done a little bit of research, just so I don't sound stupid, but I don't know which one is which. I believe Tommy has the power. Listen to the bottom. I have the names. One of them is called Wiccan. That's their superhero name. I can pull it up right now. Hold on.
Wiccan. I thought that was Wanda's sister. I think of a different character.
She doesn't have a sister.
Yes, she does.
Well, not in this universe, at least.
Okay, yeah, but
I typed in Bully. I typed in Bully and Tommy. I'm stupid.
Yep. Oh, no, I'm wrong.
Interesting.
A Speed and Wiccan.
Yeah, that has to be bit. I do know. Yeah, I don't know Wiccan.
Yeah, Tommy is Speed, and Wiccan is Billy.
I was mixing up Polaris. That was my mistake.
I just came past a fat leak.
Oh, that's
Not
episode?
Not gonna discuss that.
We can talk about it afterwards. I think I've already seen it.
Yeah, I mean maybe, but yes. Okay, that's thick. But yeah, I mean clearly her kids are absolutely have powers.
On the point that I was at real fast before I forget. If Billy and Tommy do have powers, that's how they grow. Wiccan is based off spellcast. He's basically a Star Witch Jr. And Speed is basically Quicksilver Jr. So
incest.
I think that's probably just from the powers of the stone, or however she got the powers, or however the kids would absorb these powers, whatever. Just we don't even know where they came from. They just exist. But assuming they're not the M word, soul fragments, Wiccan as a spellcaster or wizard, whatever you want to call him, could potentially just easily de-age himself. And Speed as a what's the word they use in DC for a speedster?
Yeah, speedster with the speed force.
Yeah, we don't have that in this, but assuming he's a speedster type, I can see why he couldn't just accelerate his own aging process to hence just grow instantly.
That would be quite significantly beyond just like a typical, mutant ability. I mean, like if he's fast, like that's one thing.
Because we know that Wanda's not doing that. She doesn't want
No,
them to
we
grow.
do
So
know
who
that.
is growing them? Is it them or is it?
I mean, Quicksilver can't do that.
We don't know though, which we'll get to, because there are some questions about that. But,
Yeah.
honestly, we just have to wait for those answers of how they're growing and how they are. If they even have powers, we don't know. We've never seen them run fast or do anything yet, but we've seen them literally morph. So they have some sort of way to accelerate aging by 5 years at a time.
Mm-hmm. And then the other significant thing here is Wanda trying to teach her children a lesson after Vision comes.
Very
Vision
ironic
comes,
lesson.
wrong, and then Vision comes. Wanda, fills him in on what happened, and then she tells them that family is forever, and that some things basically come to an end, but family's forever. And then they say, well, Sparky was family and all sorts of things. And then Vision, Wanda gives the most hypocritical,
the most
life
ironical
lesson
statement you could ever say.
Yeah, the most hypocritical thing she could say, which is basically that you have to deal with, your emotions, your grief.
And what's dead is what's dead is dead.
What's dead stays dead.
Yeah, what's dead stays dead. They plead for her to bring Sparky back, and Agnes is like, you can do that? And she's just like, oh. But then she doesn't seem to hold on to that for very long though either, which was interesting to me. Like, Agnes wasn't just like, what? Like, you can do that? How can you do that? This is really interesting.
And Vision is also, he's just standing there the whole time. Like,
yeah,
he's like,
Vision's just like, he's like piecing together the puzzle. Yeah, he's piecing a puzzle together in his head mentally, just like,
those gears are turning.
But it's funny because it seems as if in this episode he's no longer a character. He's a bystander. He's a witness. Like, he's no longer like, I'm a happy dad. Here's my kids. I love my wife. I'm Chance the Rapper or whatever. And this one, he's just like, you did what? What just happened? I saw that. I saw everything. He's becoming woke.
Exactly. Yeah. Vision is basically just like us. I mean, he's getting information at the same time as us, and he's just like, what?
And he even knows less than us. Ironically.
Yeah, he does know less than us. That was very interesting. Of course, the twins not being in control. Vision, I feel, is definitely starting to piece things together. And then Wanda is still not like telling the boys, she's not afraid of people figuring out about her powers. Like, they say she had for Agnes, and then Agnes is just like, oh, interesting. Let's speak over this. Speak about this over Chardonnay at the pool with the ladies later today. And then and then moving on from there,
we did the fight.
Is when we get to the climax,
the marriage story,
the second climax. Yeah, marriage story part 2 of this episode. The most interesting thing to me here is the use of time and the cinematography in this fight. So every other episode of this show has been just under or at 30 minutes, maybe a little bit over, but either way, the show ends at 30 minutes.
This is the longest one.
This is the longest one, but what's interesting to me is the things that happen after the credits.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I loved that. So that the show, the sitcom,
credits.
WandaVision ends at 30 minutes, and things happen beyond that.
Like, the credits were rolling. He's like, "Oh, come back here. We're not done yet. Come back here. Come back."
Exactly.
Keep
but
the show.
It makes me curious what else happens behind the scenes of the show, because everything we've seen so far is like what Wanda allows to air. And then everybody else seemed to be, I think, was Sword watching that or no?
What?
I want to say Sword was watching that. Was watching the fight.
Yes, they were. Yep.
Yeah, they were watching the fight.
I would assume. Yeah.
They got a live feed going.
Yeah, they had the live feed going, and they were like, okay, well, like, ooh, it didn't end. And that's what was interesting to me is that there's more to the sitcom than what we see, because Wanda allows the 30 minutes that's perfectly edited and everything's happy to air, and then everything else is either, I mean, there's still things that happen beyond the 30 minutes, and we just don't know what. And this is our first glimpse of. I mean, maybe it's just because things are going awry that there are starting to be errors in the show, which could just, again, be more.
Which has grown throughout the episodes.
Which has grown, and that it's becoming more problematic. She's either not aware that the show is still airing, or she is so out of tune with everything going on around her that she doesn't care or remember, like, oh shoot, the show ended, man. Like, it's time for Full House next. Like, she's taking up airtime.
Yeah.
And then Vision being extremely upset. He can't remember his life before Westview. There's no other children. He starts breaking up all sorts of things that Reddit has been discussing for 5 weeks. And, he's essentially confirming all of Jimmy Woo's crazy whiteboard theories and saying, like, and losing his mind. And when he says that Wanda can't control him, she says, "Oh, can't I?" And then we have Adam Driver versus Scarlett Johansson, in Marriage Story, but in Marvel.
With flying.
Yeah, with flying.
Also, I noticed when Vision takes flight, it doesn't look like he's doing it. Like, Vision's never put his hands, like, repulsor. Like, he was like, I don't know what's stupid doing this. But, like, he puts his hands, like, he doesn't need to do that. He just floats. He's doing Iron Man style, unless he was on a Star which picked him up.
Or it's the set design with strings pulling him up.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That does make sense. As silly as it sounds, it does make sense.
Yeah.
They have their fight, and they start to de-escalate, and then the doorbell rings. And he's like, "See, you're doing it again. You're doing this stuff." And we're like, "Oh, John's in the sun right now." Oh, man.
Not too sad.
No,
keep going.
Yeah.
But with the doorbell rings, Wanda says Vision says you're doing it again.
This is me.
Somebody's gonna show up, and she says that she's not doing it, and we lost John.
He's still here.
But she says that she didn't do it, and he doesn't believe her, and she acknowledges the fact that Vision doesn't believe she's not doing this. And then she answers the door, or I'm sorry, Vision answers the door, and
no, she answers the door.
Yep.
She answered.
Oh, Vision is in the background.
The door.
Because he's like, "Don't answer it. It must be you. You made this happen."
Mm-hmm.
And we see some gray silver hair, and I saw on Facebook some people were like, "Oh my God, Michael Douglas." And I was like, "What?"
Oh my gosh.
Which I mean, you would expect that. You wouldn't expect who we saw, unless you ruined it for yourself. But it was even still got me by surprise. It is Evan Peters
as Pietro.
Not Quicksilver from X-Men necessarily, but because is his name Pietro in X-Men movies?
No, Pietro.
In the X-Men movies, it is. Okay.
Yep.
I thought he had an American name. I thought he was supposed to be like in hiding. I could be wrong, but because he's Magneto's son and all that. But Quicksilver, he's there, and he's like, he's playing like an '80s jerk.
He's Uncle Jesse.
He's
Uncle
like,
Jesse.
"Hey everybody, what's up with Popsicle?" Like, what? But absolutely insane. Now, this is gonna be a whole tangent probably for all of us to discuss, but the main questions I think we can all answer, we can all talk about now, are: is he Fox Quicksilver? Is he actually just a recast and happens to be the same exact actor as X-Men? He does such a good job as in X-Men. And then at the same time, is he like, how old is he? Like, there's stuff we don't know. It's only been on screen for a minute, and obviously he's now a main member of the show, where he's gonna be more roles than we're talking like the first minute he's here, but it's just like what? The biggest question on my mind is what.
Yeah, well, Sword acknowledges the recast.
Yeah.
Yep. Darcy says, "Oh, they recast his brother."
But
yeah, and they were so. I mean, this was so significant that Sword was caught off guard. They were like, "What?" And I think this is our first tidbit of what's going to come in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, for sure.
Yeah,
that's what I think, is that this is our first glimpse into like the multiverse, and that Marvel might do some funky stuff with, Sony's properties and or actors. That was, even knowing that even
because I told you guys last week that Evan Peters was in the show.
Yeah,
I just don't know
even
who, but like it's so surprising.
It's still even knowing the leak, it was like a shocker.
Because I expected it to be just a coincidental townfolk. Like, hey, I'm in a different franchise, but
I had a feeling it was Quicksilver.
It's just crazy, like, to see it actually happen. Like, if this is really like the merge of HOTS, like
it has to be that version, because she was foreshadowing it, saying she can't bring the dead back to life, but she was thinking about her brother and talking about her
franchise. She never
exactly.
thought about that, did they?
She was thinking about her brother, so she brought her brother from a different universe in. And I think it's funny that she picked the one from Days of Future Past, because that's set in the 80s. And her sitcom is based in the 80s, so it's almost like she's bringing the 80s back in.
But one of the things I did see about that online, like yesterday, was like, what is Quicksilver's age? If this is really him, like, because keep in mind, doesn't when does X-Men? Is Days of Future Past where he first shows up? Yeah, it is. Then it's Armageddon. Or Apocalypse. How old is he in Days of Future Past? He's probably like in his 20s.
I think he's in his teens, late teens, early 20s.
Because he lives in his mom's basement and all that.
Yep.
And he's probably around 20. Yeah, Bryce said, what if he ages really slow? That could be coming back to what we said about Wanda's kids. Perhaps they can just control aging at will. We don't know. We've never had the time to explore what Quicksilver can really do, because he's only had basically two movies to just show up and do some stuff. He never had a full thing. He showed up, had his cool scenes, did some stuff, got injured, and then couldn't do anything else. And it's like, we never got to see, but now this has been crazy. I saw someone, there's a Facebook group I'm in, the WandaVision odd couple posting. They do spoilers like the day after and all that. And someone said, like, it was a meme. I don't know about that, Bryce. He said C7 in Days of Future Past. That doesn't make sense. Bryce says he sits C7 in Days of Future Past.
Well, she also can just make his age like any age that she wants.
Oh yeah, we're thinking way too deep into this.
She can just even if he's like 80 years old, they'd make him like 20.
She can make him a baby.
Yeah, I mean
she do whatever.
That's basically what I read too. So Quicksilver ages at a slower rate, and likewise has not lost any speed despite being around 67 years old. But my question would really be like about Scarlet Witch at that time too, because she doesn't have that, and they're fraternal twins.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's we don't know if this is even a real person, or what this is coming from. Like where did she because she says it wasn't me. Vision's like, yes, it was, and then she's surprised. So I don't know. You're gonna say the M word.
I mean,
that's all I'm gonna do, Charlie. You're gonna say Mephisto. It's all didn't make sense.
I don't know. I don't think that's what it is. I genuinely
They're
think
twins.
that, like they said, she is rewriting reality, and subconsciously, because they're in the 80s, there had to be something. So I could see a true. I could see Pietro dying again. Is kind of what I think. It's the 80s, but some things don't change, and Wanda said that herself. Something, the dead stay dead, and you have to cope with these things. And she never coped with Pietro. She never coped with Vision, and time is moving forward. Pietro dies, like that's just how it is, and I don't think it's even worth bringing him back. Like, what are we gonna gain from bringing Quicksilver back to the MCU?
Well, we are gonna get a new, we never really had him at his full potential.
We didn't have him, but the dead say dead, bro. Wanda said it herself. And then same thing, she's gonna have to learn how to deal with her grief or absolutely fall apart because of it. And I think the direction we're going with what we see, the way that she's so hostile towards Sword, she's still, again, she lost Pietro, she lost Vision, she hit a lick on a high security military facility, and then with the House of M Easter egg here, the only possibility I really see for Wanda is that Pietro's here. Something's gonna happen again, whether it's Sword, whether it's Mephisto, Sword. I'm kidding. Something's gonna happen again. Something's gonna happen where Pietro is gonna die, I think, and then Vision can't just be here forever. And then I think we genuinely are like quickly spiraling towards a House of M Scarlet Witch.
Well, see, my thought is, what if it comes down like in a finale where she has to pick one? She can only do like she's in a situation. We don't know what the situation is, but imagine she has to pick: does she save Quicksilver, her brother, or Vision? And she's going to choose the two things she lost and that have hurt her the most. And, like, which one does she value more? I thought that would be an interesting plot point. Like, what if she has to now cope with one?
She wouldn't, but that's the thing is, like, it's not in Scarlet Witch's nature to be anything like that. Like, she's basically an Omega level mutant with the emotional maturity of a 5-year-old.
Yep.
And so, and that's it. If she had to pick between two, she would throw a bitch fit, and then we just get House of M. So, like,
well, the other part I thought was, or she picks none, and she uses WandaVision as a Disney Plus series, is basically her being able to enter back into the Avengers with a proper state of mind after getting closure within the two people she lost that she really loved. She can see Vision. She stole his body, brought him back to life in some weird way. It's not permanent. It's not really actually happening. But she can then be like, I spent time with him. That's all I wanted to do. We weren't on the run. We weren't in hiding. We just lived our life for so many decades of fabricated time. And then at the same time, she'd be like, oh, my brother, he's here. I can finally say goodbye. I never had to say goodbye to him. Like, maybe Quicksilver or Pietro, Evan Peters' version, just comes in and be like, oh, I have a plane to catch, and just leaves. But she's like, bye. Like, if I had to say bye to you, like, I never had to say that. You just died.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, that's the only other possibility I see is, like, she either has to learn how to cope, or she's gonna absolutely lose control. And
because I don't see her being a villain.
It's hard for me to envision her, like, coping, though. I'm not saying that it can't happen, But it's
She's
just it's
gonna
hard to.
spiral. It's just she's gonna explode.
I
No, it's
think
gonna happen.
I think she's gonna. I think it'll spiral, and then I think that she may be one of, if not maybe the main antagonist, but probably an antagonist in the next Doctor Strange movie.
I
And then
don't
maybe
see
we
that.
won't get House of M, but maybe we'll just see the effects of in an alternate universe where Scarlet Witch becomes fully comes fully into her Scarlet Witch persona, and we at least see the events of House of M.
I thought it's interesting too that I think it was last week Elizabeth Olsen tweeted out that there was going to be a cameo on the level of Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian. So I was thinking maybe that
Ultron.
I think it's going to be Magneto. I think Magneto's going to come up. I think Ian
That
McKellen's
would be
going to pop. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that the big reveal, like Luke Skywalker, is that'd be a big deal. Would be if Ian McKellen just came onto the screen and said something in
or Michael Fassbender,
or him, or Patrick Stewart, or some person that's big in the X-Men series.
Yeah, that would be absolutely insane. I would love to see Magneto.
Because even though I love Quicksilver and Evan Peters as Quicksilver, it's not like Luke Skywalker level Mandalorian hype, and that's what she was saying.
I mean there's very few things that could be bigger than that. And the first one is Magneto. It's her dad.
That's the first thing that came to my mind, and that's why I'm super excited to see where this series is going.
Grandpa Magneto with his kids,
Right?
his grandkids.
Yep. Yeah, I think that would make a lot of sense. Magneto would be so sick. He's iconic. He's an incredible villain / anti-hero / sometimes hero / good dad and bad dad. and then it would set up, so it would explain, it would confirm the existence of mutants in the MCU.
I just this is my bet. I mean, obviously, we're all gonna probably none of us may not be right. Probably we're all gonna be wrong about some stuff of all the things. Yeah. But what I really think is gonna happen is I think she's going to come out on top because that's what I want to see. I want to see her back in full form. My mind's screwed now. Dealt with my grief. It took only 9 episodes, but I did it. But I'm now back to help Doctor Strange because if Wanda can start creating fabricating items in its reality and all that, which she can't do normally, something's and she's pulling people from possible alternate dimensions, and we know the alleged plot main synopsis of Doctor Strange 2 is that Mordo, his former friend, ally, has gone bad and is causing a lot of trouble within dimensions. And I think it's just going to be a wizard team up. I think it's just going to be a witch and a wizard just going through, hopping through dimensions, be like, "Oh, hey, Wolverine, what's up, dude?" And then it's now we have Wolverine. It's just gonna be she's the conduit for all this.
They were saying that Multiverse of Madness was supposed to be a horror kind of movie in the MCU, which is what something they haven't done before. I want them to bring in Marvel Zombies so bad. I think that
definitely
that's what I'm looking forward to.
I think it's somewhat. I think there's a possibility Scarlet Witch can get everything right. I don't think it's fully in line with her character just yet, because that would mean we would have explored the dark side of Wanda for a very brief period of time. I think it'd be a little bit too quick. I think we're gonna get there eventually. I mean, there's no way we don't get there at some point, because at the end of the day, this is a Disney property. But it would be a little bit too soon for me. I think I could see it being a side plot point in the next Doctor Strange. I think she has to lose control for a little bit. I think that I think she needs to see herself for a little bit, maybe through the lens of course, the multiverse. John's got something juicy.
Juicy.
What?
You were like, ooh.
I was just looking at the chat. I see a lot of cool cats in the chat.
Yeah, Brandy is taking over the chat.
Brandy's shaking over the chat. Oh,
Would
gosh.
it be a BBOE podcast without BBOE?
Ever.
Without the BB.
But that's just like what I want to see is like her like coming out on top, worry free, not fully healed but not broken, because for most of her life on screen, that's just so depressing. She within the first movie, her brother dies. Second movie,
She's seen her brother die, her family die, her lover die.
Well, yeah, think about this too. Like first movie, Ultron, brother dies. She's introduced, brother dies. Second movie, Civil War. She has to fight her lover. Then, what's the movie after that? That would be she's in. That would be Infinity War, right?
Yeah.
Infinity War. She watches him die twice. Endgame
kills him. She has to kill him.
And then Infinity War, Endgame comes out, and she dies in Infinity War too. She also dies. In a way, she gets dusted. So that's probably traumatic too. I would assume for her. And then in Endgame, she comes back with all this power, and she doesn't even kill Thanos. She does it. She's stopped before she can, and then someone else kills him. She can't even get her own revenge on this person who's been causing those problems.
Yeah.
So that's why I really want to see her like come out and be like, I'm back. Let's fight. Let's fight some bad guys. But we'll see. I don't know, what's that, hour and a half? Yeah, at the end of the episode, Vision was like, who's that? Like, and then they're like, yeah, oh, they recasted. And then he's like, hey, who's that popsicle? Whatever.
Yeah.
So that's how the episode ends. I do want to real quick talk about, not related to the show, might be. Spider-Man 3 has done more filming, more production. It's supposed to come out in December, so as they're on par with production and all that in a film, filming it. Tom Holland has Tom Holland is like Mark Ruffalo, basically the people who leaked everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
There was even a Mark Ruffalo Infinity War interview, and they're like, oh, how does the movie end? He's like, oh, we all die. And everyone's like, oh, what a funny guy. What? That happened. Tom Holland has said that Spider-Man 3 is the most ambitious solo movie to happen in the MCU, according to him. And we know that there have been thoughts of Spider-Man appearing, which could be. I mean, we also know that Kang the Conqueror is the villain for alleged villain for Ant-Man 3, Ant-Man and the Wasp 3. Kang the Conqueror, time travel, I believe, right? Yeah, time travel.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting pieces, but none of it really matches up yet. Like we also getting vampires with Blade. We are getting Shang-Chi in the Rings, which is Mandarin. So it's kind of like, where are they going? We also have, I feel like out of all the stuff that come out of this Disney Plus deal, I think WandaVision is going to matter the most. I can't see Bucky and the Winter Soldier, Falcon and Winter Soldier being that impactful. I really don't. I don't think the guy with an identity crisis and a guy with a robot arm are really going to make that bit of a difference, but we'll see. I can't imagine Armor Wars with Don Cheadle being that impactful. Mm-hmm. It's just him versus Justin Hammer, probably. Ironheart with, was it Riri Williams? Is that her name?
I believe so.
That one, I think, is just an introduction. Miss Marvel, gonna be an introduction She-Hulk. She-Hulk might matter with the Hulk potentially as a main character, but besides that, WandaVision seems to be the one that's going to set the tone. I can't imagine any other thing besides Blade and Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. But Disney Plus wise, WandaVision is definitely going to be the bid point. Just what I think.
Yeah, I will say on the note of Spider-Man 3 that Spider-Man 3 is supposedly King the Conqueror is one of the supposed villains, but there was a interesting leak from Daniel RPK's Patreon saying that all of the villains are going to be from Earth, and there will be villains that appeared in other Spider-Man movies,
like Electro,
recasted, so, like Electro,
and Doctor Octopus.
Doc Ock is supposed to come back.
One of the there are two people that have officially been confirmed to be signed on. One of which is Willem Dafoe.
I heard about that today.
And the other one is Thomas Hayden Church.
Sandman.
Yep. Yeah.
So yeah, that's crazy.
So yeah, super super interesting. Lots of crossovers. I am still all for the Spider-Men 3 theory. I am still all for Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and Tom Holland in the same movie.
Which made sense based off of the hints we're getting from WandaVision.
Mm-hmm. I would love to see Tobey Maguire. I'm kind of memeing with that, but I'm also like kind of hopeful at the same time.
I mean, like, if Tom Holland is saying like this, I mean, okay, let's be honest. Spider-Man 1 and 2, not really that impactful. Spider-Man 1, he has to protect the abandoned Avengers Tower. Spider-Man 2, he has to stop Mysterio from doing an illusion. Like, he's basically stopping a giant magic trick. If Tom Holland is literally saying that this one is going to be more impactful, I mean, what's the most impactful solo movie that we have besides
Civil War?
No, it's solo movie.
Oh,
I mean, I see. I don't know what that means. Like, Tom Holland's solo franchise. I can't think if Civil War would count as one.
It's Captain America Civil War, but
really, it's everybody.
You know? It should be Avengers Civil War.
Black Panther is a. Bryce said Black Panther. That is a very important one.
I was thinking of the first Iron Man or Black Panther.
Well, see, now I'm talking about like impactful on the universe of MCU, because I think Thor Ragnarok is pretty impactful on the universe. We see a whole world get destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, I
I'd
agree with that. I'd say Thor Ragnarok would be one of
Guardians of the Galaxy.
See, that's not solo franchise, though. I think, but see, that's the way he worded it is so weird.
I mean, it is, because it's like a group that's separate from the Avengers, you know, like, so like I could see that, and they did set up Thanos. I mean, that's kind of hard to beat.
Yeah, I mean, if
and the Infinity Stones.
Yeah,
I just want to mention
that's really hard to beat. I mean, what stone was that? The Soul Stone was introduced. Thanos was introduced, and it was well before most people even know who Thanos was. I think it was before Ultron, at the Age of Ultron even came out. So it's just like, I want to say Guardians of the Galaxy came out first, but even if it didn't, it set up.
Yeah, the original Guardians of the Galaxy came out 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so it's just like, that's kind of hard to beat, man.
But, I mean, obviously Tom Holland can't say much. He's also probably exaggerating. He wants his big trilogy to be big, like a big finale possibly, depending if they end it here. So what else? I mean, like I said, Spider-Man 1 or 2 have been very tame. Not much really happened. The most impactful part of any Spider-Man movie in the MCU was the ending of Far From Home, when he's
Yeah.
like, "Hey, Peter Parker, I'm the Spider-Man." But like even then, we don't get to see that resolve until the next movie. So it's
Yeah.
he has to deal with identity crisis, and potentially the multiverse. Like that's a big
Yeah.
step. Also,
Yeah,
Bryce
I would
spelled
agree.
Thor with an E. Thore. Yeah, he's banned.
I mean, technically correct.
Thore. And
Yeah.
I know we're
Either
getting way off topic of WandaVision,
Yeah.
but this potentially, I mean, obviously, all linked together. It's the MCU. It's all going to matter. Like whether
Yeah.
WandaVision turns out to be the least impactful. Doubt it. But like, let's
Yeah.
say Don Cheadle was like, "Hey, I can time travel," haha, or something, but something stupid. Like as of now, this is the introduction to this new storytelling.
Yep,
The
I think
new
this episode is
phase.
like the point from where the MCU is going from now until like the end of time. Because now they're just going to be bringing all the multiverse in. Like
Yeah.
it's always going to be before WandaVision and after WandaVision.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you mentioned earlier, that's exactly how I think it's gonna go. It's like we used to what would we describe the first the first 10 years? Like what was the landmark movie, do you think? Something like
I would say the first landmark movie was probably the first Avengers.
First Avengers.
It's probably the first Avengers, and then everything really gets wacky at. I want to say Guardians of the Galaxy. Honestly, I want to say Guardians of the Galaxy because that's when everybody's like, "Oh,
yeah, no, you're right. No, you're right.
Off, like for the first time.
We saw the Collector. We saw
Howard the Duck.
Shut up.
I mean, those are kind of the phases, though. It's like everything's setting up to the Avengers, and then everything's setting up. We get bits and pieces here, then boom, Thanos confirmed, and then Guardians of the Galaxy to Endgame is kind of like the next thing.
Yeah,
and
Endgame was towards the end. Towards the end would be a landmark for that.
No,
10 years.
I'm saying that Guardians of the Galaxy went like that landmark of Guardians of the Galaxy mattered up until Endgame. Then this would be the next.
Because I mean, Thanos don't care. He's like, Collector, get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. No, he doesn't care. But I'd say those are probably the landmarks for me, at least.
And we're talking so much about stuff, and it's only we still have many more episodes. We still have 4 more episodes to figure out what is going on here.
But one thing that I think is awesome about this series is that it makes you look back on so much of like where the series has come from,
where the characters started and all that. Yeah,
and opens up an insane amount of possibilities for the future. Like where can we go from here? And then the actors are playing into that too. With obviously, you said Elizabeth Olsen's tweets, and then it's just like, what could it be? And like, what cameo is going to be bigger than Luke Skywalker and the Mandalorian? And then when we get this cameo, what's it going to mean for the rest of Marvel? Because obviously, it's going to be something that is going to be so huge, where it's like this is going to be a big tonal shift, as if Scarlet Witch and the multiverse aren't enough. Like Marvel said, yeah, we need more.
Yeah, like the first 10 years was, like we mentioned last week, I believe, started off very much on the ground. The most we got was Thor for a little bit. Then space. Now dimensions or time travel before, and now dimensions. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, no. Doctor Strange was also an important landmark too, I think.
They showed like more multiverses there. Like when he opened his mind, we saw like the miniverse from
what's it called?
Microverse. You know what I'm trying to say? We got a glimpse at all the possible multiverses.
What was that called, Terrell? And Ant-Man and the Wasp? Quantum Realm.
The Quantum Realm, yes. That was our introduction to the Quantum
Ant-Man
Realm.
also a landmark, but the Quantum Realm.
Yep.
Which is only be further explored, I would assume, in Ant-Man 3.
It's very important.
I mean, they only introduced it, and they only used it in one movie so far. Well, they two, but they weren't really used it until the Wasp back, and then she died. from the snap. So like they had no time to worry about that.
Another thing about them adding all these multiverse things now is they can add or re-add characters that want to retire from their roles. So we don't have to have one Captain America look like Chris Evans. We can have a different one in a different setting, and they'll have like we could even have a whole other MCU set in a different one, and it's not foreign to us. It's like priming us for these characters are these actors are gonna retire soon, and they could pass the reins of this role to somebody else, and it won't be weird.
And that's how we mentioned last week, Chris Evans apparently signed up for another movie.
Yep.
Is it a cameo? Or is he like, hey, I'm back, baby. Let's go. Like, I'm young again.
So the money is too good, man. The money's too good.
And it's easy.
Yeah, like we can. Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna put this out there. Don't get mad at me. Terrence Howard returns. He's, hey man, give me that armor, man. I need to suit up. Fight me some Don Cheadle. He stole my role. I mean, they can do that. Like, there's nothing stopping him except apparently he's really hard to work with on set. Yeah.
Let's bring Ed Norton back. Ed Norton Hulk.
No, Mark Ruffalo is a guy. I love him. Yeah, I mean, obviously next week probably going to get even more confused than we were this week. Probably have more ideas, more thoughts, more tangents, more spiral ideas. Because every week, even though it's less than an hour long, we're getting movie-sized reveals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we wouldn't get... Like, that's one of the things people are saying, that, like, Disney Plus really is making it work. With the Mandalorian, with WandaVision, they're taking what would be, like, 3 movies and just giving them to them in a condensable size that we can... No, it is monumental to watch them. Like, there's a bridge for Mandalorian of episode 6 to 7. There is now a bridge of WandaVision to Doctor Strange and possibly even Spider-Man in the future. So, like, what turned into this was what Netflix would never do. Netflix shows, none of them mattered. I don't know if you guys saw Defenders, the show.
They could bring all those stuff back in from Netflix. You don't know?
Yeah, true. But, like, at the time, there was no states.
At the time, they did not. Nope.
Like, did you guys see Defenders at all? The show?
Yeah, because I knew it was MCU, so I didn't really watch.
Defenders' biggest ending point was Sigourney Weaver, or I think it was Sigourney Weaver, or the Foot Clan, whoever they're, I don't know, whatever they are. Oh, the Hand. That's Ninja Turtles. The Hand wanted to destroy New York. Like, that's not that it happened. The Avengers would be like, "You trying to do what again? We just stopped that. Don't do it again. We took a lot of time and money to stop this." But, like, I don't know. It's... Yeah, Bryce, I do wish Defenders was better. But I enjoyed Defenders. I enjoyed it. It was cool to see Luke Cage and Daredevil. But, yeah, we could talk about this for hours. We talked about this for almost 2 hours. And I feel like as if we have more ideas than last week. And next week is going to be even more.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
Plus, with the show coming out, there are random leaks and spoilers. I've seen leaks of the future episodes. Just, like, very little scenes. I'm going to tell you, unless we do it after. But, like, there's stuff that's going to happen. And I'm like, yeah, but how? How we get to this point? How is this going to happen? Like, it's crazy. It's like usually when you see, when Endgame first came out, a few days before it came out, it got leaked from, I want to say China, but possibly. Because there was a little Chinese subtitles. And it showed Hulk with the gauntlet snapping his fingers. Like, that was like literally a snapshot from the movie. And I saw it. I got ruined, and I was like, when the movie started playing, I'm like, forgot all about it. Didn't even occur to me that this is gonna happen. I was like, it's gonna happen. I mean, obviously, it's gonna happen. Everything did happen, but at the time, I was like, I don't see happening there. I don't see this happening. I don't. But even though I was literally given the actual image, same thing, Terrell, who spoiled Han Solo's death for me, literally on my way to see Force Awakens. Yep, I was in Disney, in the elevator, about to go to the parking lot to go to to Disney's AMC to see it opening day. You were like, oh, guess what? Han Solo dies, and you sent me the picture in the group chat of him getting stabbed. And the movie is playing. I'm like, this doesn't happen. That's not going to happen. Then it happened. I was like, I didn't see that coming. Even though I saw the whole image in my... You literally saw 2 frames of him dying and falling to his death. I was like, no, not going to happen. So seeing stuff that I've seen of next week's episode, and possibly even a week after, I don't know where it's pointed from, I don't know how this is even going to work. But it's gonna work because I've seen it. I just don't believe it. So it's crazy how a show like this is still messing with people's my mind. Like, I just don't believe it. But I've seen it, but I don't believe it. It's just so crazy what happens next. I think
we have a lot to look forward to. Like, for real.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this little podcast. I thought we were only gonna do half, and then the last week's episode, and then the finale. I think we have to bump this up to a weekly thing, because
I think so too. There's just so much to be covered.
Because now they're not focusing on just a sitcom, they're not focusing on just Sword. They're interweaving them now. So we get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but we're getting info from both sides of the story. Both settings are now converging to tell their stories. So that's crazy, honestly. But it has been almost 2 hours. It doesn't feel like it. And Troll's only said the M word twice. So congrats, Toro.
That's because what I think is happening has changed. But yeah,
we talked about that after, so I think I know what you mean. But yeah, I think that's probably gonna be mostly it for the stream. I'll put it on YouTube this weekend. But if you guys want to say anything or have any final thoughts or predictions for next week, let's hear.
I think we're gonna get Agatha Harkness very soon. That's the only thing I'm gonna say. I think Agatha Harkness is coming.
As Agnes or as someone else? Do you think?
As Agatha Harkness. Yeah, I still think Agnes is Agatha Harkness.
You still think it's the same body of the same? It's not going to be a different person.
I'm just
I saw some theories that Agnes was possibly just under the influence of Agatha, and that's why she gave her a little nickname or something.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I asked. I don't want to sound I don't want to put you on the spot like that, but that's all. I just wanted to make sure. John?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, just tune in next week and just to enjoy talking about this with us. Enjoy talking about WandaVision. It's going to be good.
Do you have any predictions at all? Have you seen any spoilers at all? Probably not.
I have not seen any spoilers, so...
Any predictions at all for what could happen? I'm not going to tell you if it happens or not what I think, but any curveballs you think?
I don't think the only curveball I can see is them throwing Magneto in, which is what I'm hoping for, but... them possibly following House of M, and hopefully they don't do Wanda dirty with her kids, because that would break my heart.
That'd be hilarious.
That'd be very sad.
I have one more question for you guys. You guys hope we can't tell the difference. You like Billy or Tommy more?
Billy.
Terrell? I can't tell the difference. I'm just gonna say that.
Which one's the
based off of what you know in the show, which one do you like more?
I don't give it. I don't give a shit.
I don't care either. You said Billy,
yeah,
John, or Tommy?
I said Billy. Billy's my boy.
All right. Well, let's not hope Billy doesn't die in this episode. That would be very unfortunate. Because then we get one favorite. All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. This is try to do this as often as we can for the rest of the season, and maybe there's even more of the next season. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know nothing. Apparently.
No.
Like the video if you liked it, and comment below any predictions you have before next week. And have a nice day. And thank you, Trell and John, for being here.
Oh, but of course.
Oh, anytime.